it's something you can turn the light on, like you're gonna have an event or something, you turn the light on, and it's not. You gotta have some light there, because you want to keep the park somewhat lit, you know, but, I don't know what the amusement is gonna have. We definitely don't see, I don't see any advantage of putting them around the pool again, since we can't be, they can't be closed, they can't have wires across the pool, so all that stuff.
Are any of them near the courts?
Yes, those we
Those
should,
we keep, the ones near the tennis courts and the basketball.
there's been a lot of discussion about those being on a, timer or switch too, because, you know, you end up with
Don't go on
kids,
there
yeah. But, okay,
Remember that conversation too.
so that's your homework.
Okay. That was your
All right.
Ooh.
Underwater.
Watch this go into the pavilion.
Okay, next two are Evolution Technologies yearly contract. He's kept his rate the same. For the town, or maybe, is that more, Joe? That's the same, right? Yeah. And of course, if you remember last year, we also contracted him to help with the police. So he's gonna continue that one too. Because that also is, you know, their cars that. Then our yearly delegate, for the Association of Towns, we'll be doing travel allowance. As Jill has done her magic and got us the breakfast with our
Good job.
jam. She got the reduced rate and breakfast.
Yeah.
The same place each time? And so, actually, so the meals, we've come up with $20 and $30, 20 lunch, 30 dinner, and taken the breakfast out, so you get free breakfast.
That seems reasonable.
Last year it coincided with Restaurant Week, so.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Well,
But I had to
this
cut,
year,
I had to write a check back.
this
to
year it
the town.
coincides with Valentine's Day.
Yeah, lots of.
That's a good for you. I'm so mean. Okay. Well, some people will not be happy about that. It was really a challenge, because then it became a popular weekend, you know?
Oh, yeah, and Monday's a holiday, too.
Yeah, well, that's why we usually go
Oh,
there,
no.
President's Day,
Not
but,
that much.
no, yeah, it's,
Apparently it
it's the
is.
same,
Yes,
it's
it
the
is.
same thing.
Early this year.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
You can always go on Groupon, just coupons, that's what I did.
Sure, yeah.
I've heard of this, I've never tried it.
I've
That's
done
a
that
good
when I've gone to
idea.
the city too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I use it for everything, I have some great Christmas gifts.
That's a good idea.
What did we get?
Okay, so then the next thing on the list is the revised contract for, between us and the school and Marbletown, where Marbletown's been incorporated into this. So, would like to pass that next week. Hopefully between now and early next week, I'll be able to get you the MOU, which it's been a 6-month project.
With Marbletown?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to do that, so be patient, be gentle with me when you get it, that's all I can tell you.
The MOU was drafted between you and Mike back and forth?
Yeah, but there's been a lot of back and forth, you know, and, so we're just trying to get it right, because it's a long-term contract. And, so I'm hoping by Monday or Tuesday we'll be ready to go, and I'll email it to you guys. But if we don't approve it on next Wednesday, maybe we can approve it that Monday. So I'd like to get it done this month so that they can start planning their move.
Okay.
Okay. And then,
So you think we can grab one?
yeah, never hurts. Except for the holidays. it's not bad. All right, so we have to do another resolution, 12/2015-2, because we have some budget transfers that were done incorrectly, and I'd like to correct them.
Right now?
Yes.
I
I want to correct it now, so that next week we're going to have a lot of budgetary transfers, because everything's get ready for the end of the year, and I want to correct this one before we go do that. The first one,
Wait, hold on.
It's the last one.
no, this is something our accountant said this is the way she wanted this done, so we're going to.
Oh, boy, who's her account?
Yeah. So I'm gonna do the bottom one first. A 61.4 home relief will go to unallocated, it's 15,000. And then from unallocated, those three that were from unallocated, they were from home relief. So basically, we're just adding another step. The money's gotta go to home unallocated first, and then come back to pay those bills. So do you understand?
Yep.
So that's basically, it's just, no difference in the amounts, it's just changing it around to how it needs to be. So I'd like to make a motion, be it resolved, the town board of Rosendale hereby authorize the following budgetary transfers. Transfer of sum of $1,800 from unallocated to environmental CE, from cemeteries $300, from unallocated to cemeteries $300, from unallocated to traffic control $2,300, and from home relief to unallocated $15,000.
It's really hard.
Do you want to second?
That's
No,
just-
because it's really hard to second anything. I don't understand why she's doing it without
I
a
will
hearing.
explain, I will explain. Home relief was the money that we got for safety.
Yeah, I understand
So
that.
that was when the towns all paid for, home relief.
Yeah.
right? The county took over home relief, and we had 3 years of budgets of the money being allocated, and as each year we would, but it's always a guess, how much money do you really need for the home relief, because you don't know how much it's gonna be. We had $15,000 left. Doris put it, what we do sometimes is encumber the money to pay bills, thinking that a bill was gonna come in for home relief. We had no bill come in, so she transferred the money to pay the bills. Our accountant doesn't want us to do that because we had nothing for home relief, so we could send it to unallocated, then from unallocated we can pay the bills.
But it does break it down nice, because now I understand it, and it always kept it separate from everything else. So it's very
So
clear.
we no longer have that
Thank you,
line,
I
have to
understand
put
that.
money in that line. That's
Got it,
basically what it is.
understand.
Does everybody get that?
I think second.
I'll second that.
No, we already got John's.
No, John, I'm not.
I was already there before the other part.
Don't fight this.
Don't make me throw a chicken at you.
Roll call, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt.
What number was that again?
Two.
Billy.
Thank you.
And I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session
Billy.
to discuss the employment of particular persons.
Yeah,
I'm
you know
leaving
what?
next month.
Billy,
Requesting
I have
one
like
break.
any questions.
Yes, we'll take a 5-minute.
Want me to write my phone number down?
It was up to Jerry last meeting.
You have a nice evening.
Bloomington Fire Department's on there, and then tonight for the resolution, which is God bless Bloomington, they're a great fire department. But overall, fire costs in this town are skyrocketing. And I just compared some issues with other towns, and I know you guys do that whenever you make decisions. You know, the Bloomington's budget now, with their service award program, is $310,000. Tilson doesn't even have a service award program. So there's no equality there. Marbletown, 55 square miles, 5,500 population, you know. Their fire budget's well under Rosendale's. Accord, 88 square miles, they have 3 stations. Rosendale's got 5. 88 square miles, Rosendale's 20 square miles. And it's got a population of 6,000, pays 3 full-time fire districts and 2 part-time, partial areas. Sooner or later.
What should we do, Billy?
Sooner or later,
Yeah, we hear you have to merge.
you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
Rosendale honestly should have 1 fire district, and not 5.
So this is the problem.
But
This
nobody
has to come from
wants-
the fire department.
Yeah.
You guys are
But
separate
every year,
entities
it's,
from the town.
well, go to tomorrow night's meeting in town of Ulster, because town might be dissolving East Kingston. So there's issues out there. But every year our budgets go up, they go up. We got secretaries, treasurers, vehicles, insurance.
Yeah.
It's just skyrocketing, and sooner or later, someone's going to be a bad guy.
Well, let me tell you
No, I
something.
totally agree.
So the Secretary of State is putting money aside, and I've been asked to help them come up with some ideas. And it's about, how do we manage shared services? I'd be very happy to funds into the fire department. Okay, and if all the fire departments need to approach me and ask for
Well,
that, okay?
They won't look past the
They're not
noses,
gonna.
because if there's a fire in town, they all come anyway.
I understand, I
You
agree
know,
with you.
if it's anything
100%.
more than
I
a
think
small
it's a-
fire,
it's a-
they're all coming.
It's a smart move.
But if they operated under one roof,
Yep.
then it'd be so much less expensive.
I mean, maybe we could,
Are you
have a
saying
meeting
like
and
combine
just to-
Tilson and
just to
Rosendale?
discuss it.
And then boom, it's
You know, I'm on board, I just don't know enough about it, so you'd have to learn me.
well, I know you guys
Because the
were
town
going to
is-
spot Bloomington wants to become a district, God bless them. Then
Well,
they'll be able
let
to
me
tax.
just say to you that Bloomington's becoming a district because the towns of Rosendale and Ulster
Right.
do not want to be responsible for budgets that we don't have control over. And if I'm gonna be, the chief fiscal officer of a budget, I need to have some control over
Right.
that budget. So that became an issue for both towns because we just write a check. We don't know what's going on with that money.
Right.
So if you're a fire district, you have to manage your own money and you pay attention to what you're doing. And I just wasn't comfortable with
But
that
honestly,
responsibility.
now's the time to look at it.
I agree, and I'm telling you
I
right now.
totally agree, and there's money for it.
There's
That's
money
the
to
thing.
do it.
I mean, like,
So, if you can make that argument that there's money to do something, maybe the other fire districts would talk to you about consolidation.
I always thought before you got this place that Rosendale, Tilson could combine, they'd get a grant for some new firehouse. Our firehouse on Main Street could be the town hall. That would have been perfect.
Billy, are you with Tilson or with
Can I do
Rosendale?
that?
What's that? I'm with Rosendale.
Has the commissioners from both departments come together and
You
discuss
know,
this?
it's a touchy thing. You gotta get the department on board, you gotta get the
Got
district
some-
on board, there's some.
That's
Some
gonna
are
be the
for it, some are
first step
against it.
before the town gets involved, really.
Somebody's
I
gotta
think
be a
if
bad
they can
guy.
be shown. the
Somebody's gotta show them
advantage-
numbers.
They need to see the advantages, and I think
Right.
that, I think that we can make that happen. I
Right.
really believe that we can show some real savings, and I can show you that there's money to be had from the government to make this happen, so it's not gonna be any cost out of pocket
Right,
of
and
the
it'd
districts.
save a lot. It'd save
So
tremendous.
maybe one thing is, we have a lot of information about it, so maybe if we could, just prepare something.
Just look at those numbers I told you.
Start the conversation.
You know,
that
square
lets
miles.
them know
It's
the
very
benefit.
arbitrary right now, though, because I do know what you spend, I know how much your budget is, but I don't know really what your needs are. And I think there has to be some kind of audit, even if it's internal between you guys, to say, what does each department have? What are you spending money on? What do you really need? And how can you share those things? What can you use to share? And I think you're probably sharing, like you said, you're sharing already.
Well, y'all got big insurance bills,
Right.
big apparatus, we put $50,000 away trying to buy a new truck every year. That's crazy. And then you add
So-
Bloomington's on that, Tilson's on that.
So
We have,
you also, I think you have reduced manpower too.
right,
If you have one district, or, even if it was two districts, but, one district would mean everybody belongs to the fire department, Now you
Like I
have
said, they all
now you
come
have a
anyway.
big pool of people to
Right.
pull from when you have an emergency.
Yeah, but then this inherits another problem
What?
for the residents of the town. Because when you apply for a homeowner's insurance, they ask where the closest fire hydrant is, where the closest fire department is. So it's not as easy as you think, because that alone will affect a lot of people. If you close Tilson down and combine it with Rosendale, where in Rosendale, it's going, all I'm just saying, it's not cut and dry, it's very involved.
And I think that that's an issue, but if you can show people that they're gonna save X number of dollars on
Their
taxes.
taxes,
They're
their
gonna,
fire tax alone.
they're gonna save money on their taxes, and then maybe they have to pay a little bit more on their insurance, so,
Yeah.
One of the things you
Yeah.
can do to help justify everything, if you have a paid fire department, the 3 members are always on
don't
duty.
start that.
What
Jack.
no, the whole idea is
Time to go
that,
home, Jack.
Okay, so but one other
you don't want to listen to me, the
one
whole
other
idea
thought.
is that you have
Billy.
firemen on duty all the time.
I know.
If you buy, right now, you get 2 people show up in the middle of the day, there's nobody here. But if you have 3 people always on, and
It is
shifts,
a
But if
problem.
you consolidate your fire
Right.
districts, you have more
Right.
manpower.
Right.
But one thought is to just to start the conversation, is to find a person from each of the fire districts that would be willing to be on a committee
Commission, yeah.
to look into this.
Yeah.
And Jean could be on this committee, And,
I've
but,
already been
or,
approached by
or
Right, you've
someone from the
spoken to us
board
about it.
and you can provide input into it, but at least do an assessment.
Yep.
And then have, because no one has the facts in one place to really make everyone, there's a lot of emotions around it, I'm sure, because, but, you know, also, you know, there's gonna have to be some kind of sit-down assessment. And
Well,
if people are actually studying it together, they start the conversation about it, and they really can start thinking through some of the issues.
I just wish some of the town board members could educate themselves, just, doesn't take long, just look at New Paltz square miles, 2 fire stations. They got 34 square miles on a state university, 2 fire stations.
Bill, I don't think this board
Yeah.
needs to be educated, because I think we all are very much aware. It's just that we don't have the authority to do that.
Well,
You have to have, you are the ones that have the authority. When you're in fire district, you're not under the town's, you know,
We can't tell you
jurisdiction
what to do.
Right.
to tell you what to do. You
But
have your own board, you
You
have your
could
own
put a little
people.
pressure.
Well, but this is what I'm saying,
Really, we can't.
but this is how you
Well,
start,
I
you
mean, we could
really
have
Go to
need
tomorrow
to-
night's meeting at town of Ulster and see what happens with these
So-
kids.
That's
You-
because is it a fire protection district?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if it's a fire protection district, it's different. That's why they
Well,
can do
Bloomington's a
that.
fire protection district right now.
Yes.
You make them a district, then you can't control them. You can control them right now.
Billy.
Right, but they have to answer to the public then. That's the difference. Okay? They have to show their budget, they have to be, there's votes for their
But then
budget.
you won't control.
Huh?
Now you folks right there can control what happens.
So would you be willing to meet with commissioners from
Absolutely.
Tilson, Rosendale,
Absolutely.
Bloomington? Sit
Yeah.
down and,
We got Cottical and Hyde Falls there too. And,
Yeah.
and I've already put it out there. I have put it out there to the districts that I would be like to do that. And I also recently been to a round table to talk about the Secretary of State and, different, towns and villages and different agencies that are looking for shared services and what they're doing. And they're trying to find other ways, and they've made it very clear that they have funds that they want to give to anyone that wants to consolidate.
But I do think it's always helpful to find, you know all the people, right, in the different districts, to invite somebody from each of the districts that you know will have an open mind about it, and just get
Just
together
get
in
the
a
ball
room
rolling.
and
There is
work
really
on it.
a lot of, you know, they're not equal. Like I said, Bloomington's got people collecting on their service work program already, you know, $400 a month. Tilson doesn't even have one in place. You know, it's like, how come Tilson's budget's so low? Well, they don't have a service work program. You know, and there's fire departments do.
Before
Rosendale.
my time, so I can tell you.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, it's gonna be challenging, because
It will be.
Inherited
if
that.
it involves one company giving stuff up, they're not, you know.
Yeah, we don't say
they're-
those words, all right?
I'm just saying.
Don't say that.
I know, I'm just saying that when they're uneven, it makes it more challenging,
Yeah.
but it's
So,
not,
I mean, we
it's
have
not
people from
undoable.
Tilson joining Rosendale because Rosendale has a service work program. And that's sort of like, not right. People should live in Tilson, should join Tilson. But they're saying,
Well, I think that could be the first step, get Tilson and Rosendale together.
yes.
Yeah,
Might be more realistic to talk about 2 fire departments. And then you start to see where
Yeah.
else you can make
Right,
changes.
right. Baby steps.
Well, you can easily
Baby
go
steps.
online and see the square miles of towns, see the budget for the fire districts.
Yeah.
They're all on.
I've intuitively felt this way forever, so I feel like it's clear that
I
that's
don't-
something that needs to happen. But it's, how do you start getting that process to happen? And that's.
No, it's not
rather
popular.
than just
It won't be
talk about
popular as the
Right.
person being
It's some
focused.
growing pains, but once it's done, people start to
Right.
adjust and
Yeah,
you know,
and they will.
and then some of the pains you're having now go away. You know, you gotta look at that way.
Right, and it's becoming, you know, it's just a crisis, really. I mean, over time, it's just the
I mean-
sustainability of keeping enough volunteers, getting enough resources. This is really like looking to the long term, like how can we really keep, you know, keep our community safe over the long term and by sustaining our emergency services.
What does it cost to run the building itself at Rosendale? Do you know?
Secretary Treasurer. The building itself isn't that
No,
much.
it's really not.
Yeah.
You know, the
It's
trucks are
equipment.
expensive. We're looking at a new truck now, stripped is $500,000.
So the question you have to
And
ask
it's
is,
maintaining
would
them.
you need to buy a new truck
We
as
have to.
often if
Oh, no.
if you combine?
No.
So
Not at all.
that's the question right
Not at
there,
all.
there's your savings. So
Yeah, I
what
mean-
if, then you gotta evaluate, what is it gonna cost to combine? What are the costs associated with
Right.
making one district
Right.
and one fire department. And then you weigh that against what, that cost that it's gonna take you to get, to become combined is what the state's gonna pay to help make that happen. So that's what you're gonna find out. Evaluate what is it gonna cost to, consolidate. Because that's what they're gonna help you do. Now, what do you need to do? Do you need to move it to Tilton and make the Tilton building bigger, or whatever you're gonna do,
Right.
house more trucks or whatever it is? They're gonna help you to figure that out.
Right, and then, right.
Well,
and
I would
what is
just, before you approve anything, fire districts and stuff, just look at the numbers.
We already know.
They're outrageous.
We already
But
Right,
if
the
you can
budgets
get
are all
some people from
done.
Tilson and Rosendale that want to meet with
Budgets
us,
are
The
done.
they can come to
transition-
the meeting as well.
transition,
For what it's worth, and we're,
I'm
right?
sorry, what's that?
I'm saying if you can get somebody from, some
We've already
people from
talked to
Tilson and
both
Rosendale,
districts to talk about getting.
but they could come to us, I'd be happy to be at the meeting as well.
Great.
So they've already
Great,
talked to me about
right.
wanting to meet, and I'm happy to do that.
Okay, thank you
All
for your
right.
time.
Thank you.
Are you serving hot chocolate with us?
And thank you very much for letting Mandy do hot chocolate at the fire department. We're excited. That's where we're gonna.
Don't get anything on the floor.
I won't, don't worry.
I'm not the janitor, go ahead.
Good night, folks.
Bye, good
Right.
night.
Good night.
We have to go to executive session.
Those are really great folders, but I can't promise you.